Hey guys, welcome back to The Hideaway. It's still me, Douglas, and today we'll be breaking down the latest entry into The Hideaway entitled Crimson Casualties. So, this piece, kind of getting back into like my pettiness in my writing, but as I posted when I was, doing the poem, etc., it is about some family issues that are going on, and I'm not holding back anymore, so we're just going to jump right into this breakdown. And before we get started, another big shout out to Wild Greens magazine. Their April edition is currently out. I will leave a link below. The theme of the April issue was wordplay, and I was lucky enough to have another piece published there that was entitled A Play on Words in 3 Acts. So I'll leave a link below to guys check it out, and go check out the rest of the magazine because it's full of some amazing artwork this month. So without further ado, let's jump in. So the title came from, crimson, I think of blood, and then it's always that famous quote, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. But then like everyone always got it mixed up towards like blood is thicker than water, meaning family is better than whatever, but I don't believe that most of the time. So, and then casualties, like, the death of relationships, etc. So that's really just where the title came from. It wasn't like something that popped up. I wanted it to be like very specific to this piece. So we can just jump right in, and then I'll start explaining what I need to explain down below. All right, so our first section, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I really wanted to start off with that because it's kind of like, not like a dig at like religious people, but like people that don't practice religion, but still like use it to their advantage, like use like certain things from religion to their advantage to make themselves seem better than other people. And so in this certain context, that's what I'm kind of poking at. And then the following line, just kidding, I'm just having some fun. And like that would also just be me, like if I ever was like to like go to like a confessional and be like, hey, this is what I did, but I don't really care because it's fun. And it's just like all meant to be like, again, it's there. You'll see as the poem like goes, like, I'm painting myself as the villain, so it's kind of like setting that up right there. There is no higher power akin to my grief. So again, the Jesus God imagery. And I'm basically saying that like my suffering, whether there's a higher power or not, is much stronger than that, because I feel like I've suffered that much. The constant battle and struggle weighing me down like my own crown of thorns. Again, we'll keep that religious imagery, at least for now. But again, it's just kind of all to tie it together and just kind of explain what I'm going through. Lessons can never be learned by the likes of simple-minded freaks. Again, I told you this piece is going to be very petty, and it's basically just saying that, like, when you try to live like a simple, like one-track minded life, like you don't open yourself up to like learning from your mistakes, like learning from other people, etc. You're kind of just stuck on this like simple track and simple life, and therefore you feel like there's nothing else for you to learn because you don't open yourself to that. Destined to reclaim empty promises and faceless memories. And so again, it's just like very simple lives, and then again, for these specific contexts, it's like when you're living this kind of life that seems meaningless, and then like I will say the faceless memories is kind of like a play on like the Facebook memories, because that's kind of like part of what like inspired this piece, is that like when you're on Facebook and like you can look back at like the past, like you see things and you're just like, wow, there it is. It happened, but it becomes faceless because that relationship is no longer there, and it's kind of meaningless and pointless at this point. And then the empty promises, like you just like, there's only so much to give, but like it's all just kind of like to say it rather than to like have it and to be it. You're just saying it to say it, essentially. You're making these promises without any follow through. So that's our little setup. So we'll move on to our next section, where I go full villain. So it's fun. Being the villain has painted me in the best light. So again, being petty, I'm like basking in this glory that I've bestowed upon myself. It's so stupid. If only mother had named me Richard, your plan against me would make more sense. And this is literally just to make a dick joke. Well, and it's also, again, in this context, like, if you want to call me a dick, it's like, well, if I was named Richard, that would make more sense. It'd be my nickname. And that's literally all that's meant to be. It'd be just a dick joke, but it's like, I thought it was so funny. So it's in there. The argument, you are what you eat, does not apply to the hate you preach. And so I like that line a lot, but it's also kind of muddled because obviously you are what you eat, and then it's like the hate you're preaching, so like you're not eating it, but it does make sense in these following lines. But basically, just again, I like to take common phrases and kind of flip them, and yeah, we'll just leave it like that. So I have taken your 3-course meal, vomited up in some spiritual anorexia. So again, the hate that this person's preaching, and I said she because I said familial stuff. Hi, sister, this is for you. So she did eat, the hate. She was consuming the hate, and then she was spewing it back to others. So it's kind of like, I guess it is kind of, you are what you eat. If you eat the nasty, you become the nasty, etc. But it was, again, when I said it was vomited up in some spiritual anorexia, it was like she thought that she was, purging herself of the nastiness by being nasty to others. So she kind of misunderstood the metaphor. So I'm trying to explain it and tell her how it doesn't make that much sense because she's still hateful. And served it back to you warm from karma's bloody lips. And so I believe in karma to an extent. Like, I feel like you do good, you get good, and you do bad, you get bad. And it's like, some of it's true, some of it's not. Like, some things are just circumstantial, some things are coincidence, but to an extent, I think there is some cosmic force out there that keeps checks and balances on us. But it's, again, ironic that, like, it's that I served it up. Like, I'm the one dishing the karma, but it's like, no. I mean, if it is, like, if karma's in a sense that, like, if you do bad onto someone else and they do bad back to you, do you deserve that? We're in some gray zone now with that. Unsure. My only superpower is holding up a mirror, kind of a reference to like Snow White, like who's the fairest of them all, etc., etc. But to make it twisted, it's cracked and vile, the worst of the worst. And so the problem that I come with my sister, like in my family, is that like I'm always the one that's like, this is what's wrong, we should fix it. And it's always kind of like, no, it's like, things are fine, like it's fine, just leave it alone. And it's like, no, there are problems that we have to face and fix. And like sometimes I'm a hypocrite because I also don't face my own problems. I'm better at dishing the advice than taking it. So again, there is some irony there that I can accept, but I'm always the bad guy because I'm like, look at your problems and fix them. And they're like, there's no problem. And I'm like, no. The hard stuff to swallow. Again, another dick joke, because why not? We already did it once, let's do it twice. But also, like, again, everyone says that. Like, it's like those hard pills to swallow in life. Like, sometimes you're a mess, but you don't want to acknowledge that. Hopeful to get the point across, always in vain. So again, if I'm constantly, like, holding up this mirror to show you your problems, and you're like, no. It's like, it is in vain, because, like, you're not listening to me. But then you paint me out to be the bad guy. Duh. I can't play the music, that's copyright. Alright. So now we've gone through our hatefulness and our pettiness. So we're gonna hopefully go into some real talk here soon. Alright, so our next section. I can take off the veil only via text. So the veil of, like, you know, if you take off the mask or whatever, to be your real self. But only via text, which is via a poem, and now this. Because pettiness begets pettiness. So it's like, I can only take off the veil through these mediums because that's all you've kind of given me. And so, like, this is the only way we can communicate now, is through petty whatever poems or like petty silence, etc. So now I'm speaking my truth. So this is kind of like the villain monologuing about why they're evil. Of course I'm spiteful, I'm full of rage. The power of a simple miscommunication ended a bond once thought unbreakable. And again, if I'm talking about my sister, something happened, then there was a miscommunication, and all of a sudden we weren't talking for 3 years. So it's like what? How does that happen? But I mean, it happens with other people in my life too. Just never thought it would be my sister. So, you cursed me with your trust. I know far too much to ever let it slide. That is true. It's not my business to tell it to the internet, but I will tell it to my family over and over again because I am the villain. So now I preach your gospel while you turn the blind eye. So we're going back into like the religious imagery, but it's funny because it's like, that's so true. It's like, I'm telling everyone about like your problems because you don't want to face them. So I'm trying to tell our other family to be like, hi, this is this, but you're the one, again, still turning the blind eye and ignoring them. So like, it's just ironic. And the next line is even, what kind of sick religion is this? Because it's like, you should be able to have some sort of like self-awareness and self-reflection to like look at yourself as a person to be like, oh, that's wrong, or like I did something bad, like etc. etc. But when someone does it and you're just like trying to get through to them, and sometimes my methods are crazy, and sometimes I am an asshole. Sometimes I drink too much and I turn into a raging asshole. I know that. My methods are crazy. But just like most villains and anti-heroes, that's just the way we do things. Being the biggest person means being the biggest pushover. That line, it's not true in most contexts. However, in this one, it's like all my life, and like again, it's different contexts for different people, but like I feel like in most of my life, I am always the one expected to be the bigger person for like things that aren't necessarily my fault. But it's like, just be the bigger person. It's the best thing to do. I'm like, well, why can't the other person be the bigger person too? Like, it doesn't. It's a two-way street. I can't be the only one giving. It's got to be a give and take. So, for this specific context, this line, I think, reigns very true and powerful. Own up to yourself. I fucking have. I never once denied who I was. And so, again, it's kind of like saying, like, I'm taking on the role of the villain. I've acknowledged that I'm being this way on purpose. And it's like, you're the blind eye. You're just like, it's nothing. Just block him on Facebook. It's nothing. There's no problem. But it's just like, you don't know who you are anymore. It's like, if we had a strong relationship and, you know, we were best friends for 24 years, why just throw that away over a simple miscommunication? And then everything after that, yes, I can see, but like one little thing, it's kind of like a avalanche effect where it's like the one little rock that hit the mountain and now everything just is a catastrophe. So, and it's just like, I know the way I'm acting, and I know like who I am. I'm a crazy person. I'm mentally ill. Kind of goes hand in hand for me. It's not a joke. I'm sorry. So I'm really just trying to be like, just like be real. Be real again. If you ever were real, I don't even know anymore at this point. All right. So move on to our last little closing section. Fire does not destroy fire, it only consummates. So that's kind of a callback to the pettiness line, because again, if you fight pettiness with pettiness, like you're not really getting anywhere and you can't fire with fire. So it's like, I can be as petty as I want through like poems and like this kind of thing, but like at the end of the day, it doesn't really get me anywhere. So this all might be in vain, but like again, I get my feelings and emotions out in different ways, and this is one of the ways I did it. Or live out your lies. Emptiness in the eyes. And so that's kind of a callback to like the simple-minded freaks not being able to learn lessons, empty promises, etc. So it's like you're just living in your lies, and it's like when all you know is the lies, like you don't know, your truth is like blinded, and like there's red on your ledger, ma'am. So it's like, if you don't want to fix this, fine. Go live in your white picket fence, because it's not real. Fallen rocks on a preemptively dug grave. And that's just like, when you live, again, you're on the simple life, like you're not really doing anything, or you're not changing yourself. You've dug your own grave, and you're just putting the little rocks on. And maybe I'm putting some rocks on too. Who knows? Autopilot and loveless. So again, emptiness in the eyes, like it's just more like driving the point home of like you're living this like faceless life, in this faceless life essentially. And if you're not ready to face that, at some point I'm gonna have to be like, good luck. I don't really care. Wait, well, hold on. Too soon. take what you want. Just know, I'll never let you forget. And so that's, again, like, holding in the fact that, like, I'm not trying to be, I am the villain in this scenario in everyone's eyes. And I've even taken on that role. I'm like, it's fine. I will be the villain. It's fine. And so I can say, like, you know, it is what it is. But, like, at the end of the day, calling back, I know far too much. And again, we were best friends for 24 years. So no, you won't forget. You can block me on Facebook. I can never speak to you again. But God damn it, you'll never forget what you did. What you did to me, what you did to others. Coming for you. This should be a movie. We need 3 movies, a whole character story arc. So again, it's like taking like the villain trope idea and like applying it to like real life situations where it's like obviously there's no superpowers here, there's no ulterior motives, but it's like, you've painted me as the villain, so I'm going to be the villain. That's what you want, because you don't want to be the bad guy. You don't want to have to face your flaws and your truths, because you're perfect and everyone else around you is stupid. And again, I got the mirror for you. Okay, but yeah. That was the end of the piece. I wanted to get through it as quickly as possible because I knew I was going to be an asshole during it. But it was just very like, it was taking a moment of like hurt and like disbelief and being like, wow, this is where we're at, like in our relationship as siblings. So it's like, this is where we're at, then I'm gonna write about it and talk about how I feel about it. And of course, yes, I'm still angry, but at the end of the day, I'm not gonna let that anger like consummate. I'm just gonna put it in my work, in my art, and move on, because that's all I can do at this point. I can't stop people from blocking me. I can't stop people from not talking to me. So it's like, at the end of the day, take what you want. So that was Crimson Casualties. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, go check out the Wild Greens Magazine April edition for another original poem by me, and we'll be back in the Hideaway very soon with another new entry. Till then, thanks guys.